Hi, my name is Sojin Chan. My movie is called Suburban Origami, and it's the one where I'm making origami, huge origami pieces, and putting them outside of my suburban home in Scarborough. That was made a few years ago, so I'm just trying to remember what I was thinking at the time. But actually, at the time, I was doing some performance-based kind of work, making large-scale origami pieces. So that was part of that time, and yeah.
And this is Jorge Lozano. He didn't introduce himself.
Okay. Oh yeah, that video Black was made in Cali, Colombia, and it's the result of workshops that we did in that neighborhood that is called Siloé in Cali. It's a very dangerous, violent, almost against youth. A lot of youth die in that. They die very young in that neighborhood because of gang-related problems, because the drug lords take over the territory, or the guerrilla groups take over the territory, or the police takes over the territory. There's always a conflict. So we were doing workshops in there, and we were shooting a video by Black, which is the guy that you see at the end on the lying down with the blood. So we are shooting his video, and Guillermina there were some kids in there, and she was looking at this kid that began crying, and he started to cry because he saw Black on the ground with blood, and his father had died just a week ago, 2 weeks before that. So she was impacted by that, and then she wrote a story. The walking is just walking, getting out of the neighborhood at some point, and Guillermina, I asked Guillermina to shoot the stairs, so I held her, and she just did it all. It's just one take. Then later, when we came in here, I was actually doing a workshop with Guillermina, doing some like more advanced video. So we brought this material together, and we just put it together and rewrote a bit the text to go with the colors of the houses, and just like related the text a bit with the walking, and ended with the shooting of a bit of Black's film. But that's basically, it's a homage to all these youth who died there, basically. And of the ones that worked in the workshop, they're still alive because they changed, because of the workshops, they changed their lifestyles, began doing something else. And Black right now is an editor. And I'm going to be working with him actually in a project doing workshops possibly really soon. And he's going to be facilitator instead of participant.
Why do you guys do workshops in dangerous neighborhoods, Cali? Why would you guys expose yourselves to do that? And yeah, that's my number one question. I have many more.
The workshops is a natural thing that I've been doing since I came here to Canada, because I learned video and I had equipment, and I was surrounded by friends who had lots of talents and didn't have the resources, so I began doing workshops in my house. Eventually, they expanded through working in aluCine, they expanded to working with Latin youth in here in Toronto, in the suburbs, so in the ghettos, as they call it. Latin youth who very talented, who most of the time they've been in jail because when they come in here to Canada from Salvador, Colombia, whatever, they hang around, and they had to hang around in groups because they had to protect themselves from the other groups from Jamaica or from Somalia or from wherever, right? So they had to form groups, and when they, as he works in here with the police, is that if the police goes into those neighborhoods and they see a group of young people hanging around together, they are considered a gang. And they go and take them away. They take them to jail because of being a gang. And so they spend a lot of their time just going to jail, basically, all their lives. And the workshops help them to they're very talented. They already have a lot of visual information. So when we go there into those neighborhoods, it's really easy to do the workshops. They do really amazing work. Some of the works that we done in the workshops, they've been shown in festivals and won prizes, and some of them have won scholarships to continue studying film. So it's been very successful. And then they saw in Colombia this works, and we were invited to do it in Colombia. When we showed them the works that we done with the youth in here in Toronto, the Colombian youth who were looking at us very suspicious, because they, you go into those neighborhoods and they immediately assume that you're just going to go and use them, right? Because they've been used before by people who goes into the neighborhoods and they don't leave anything. So, but when they see the work that we've done in here with the youth, they immediately at the end, and we never talk to them. We just show them. We say, okay, we get 12 youth in there. Says we're going to do a workshop with you guys, but we want you to see these works. So they look at the work that the youth in here have done, and immediately at the end they say, I can do better than that, and they're just hooked into the workshops, and they do actually produce incredible works. And so the workshops, the works that we do in the workshops, they serve as a way to teach the other ones in other places to get involved and to see that it's possible, because they're very creative, and they don't just need to see themselves doing something. After they see themselves, they don't believe that they're going to be doing the work that they do until the end. And when they see it, they just don't want to get out of the workshops, and most of them continue doing work. And also they they form groups and start facilitating workshops themselves in their neighborhoods. So that's basically, yeah.
Thanks. Any questions about Black and the whole extension of this piece that was inspired, like Jorge said, in one of the youth work in Colombia? Yes?
I just wanted to say thank you for your work and sharing a bit of the context and the background of it. The film kind of started getting me to think about was resistance. And I think you already started talking a bit about that already, but I was just wondering if in the workshops that you were doing in Cali, that if there were communities, particularly youth, if they were already organizing and challenging racism, injustice, and the violence that was happening in their communities, and if that was something that was encountered in the workshops at all, and whether the youth are vocalizing that in the work that they're doing.
Yeah, no, I believe the youth in here in Toronto, in the ghettos or in Colombia, youth live by resistance. I mean, they resist every day, and I mean, they're still alive, right? I mean, they go to jail all the time, and and when you bring them into the workshops, they immediately, their resistance gets directed towards creativity, and they see the potential of that resistance through culture. And in fact, what happened is that when their friends see that, friends that are very troubled, friends who, like for instance, I met one that is a really young guy, about 16, and he's killed quite a few people already. He has, he carries a gun, and he talks about killing and other stuff. He's very, lots of adrenaline, is what he says. When he gets the adrenaline highs, he can kill. But he wanted always to be part of the workshops because he wanted to be an artist. He wanted to be, he wanted to express himself culturally, with the gun. So give them the tools, change the arms for video. It may change their lives, right? So they are into resistance. I mean, to be youth in those neighborhoods, you have to resist. I am from a poor neighborhood in Colombia. We had to resist. You resist the violence in the neighborhood. You're always finding strategies to get in trouble and win, or not to get in trouble. But you don't want to die, right? So it is resistance, and the workshops are basically that. The workshops are a tool to resist differently, in a more coherent way, probably, in a more creative way, and in a way that it will expand in the neighborhood, which it has done. And I just got an email the other day from one of the guys in here that was in the workshops, And he was so grateful. He has a career now as an editor. I think he's making a lot of money because he was Christian. And I think that he's editing a lot of the Christian videos. He has his own company right now, and he probably has a lot of money right now. You know, he was really, thank you very much, and all that stuff. But, I mean, you cannot change his belief in whatever he believes, but at least he is doing something different, right? And that is, you know.
I really like the whole metaphor of shooting film instead of shooting people.
Yeah.
That's quite, it's just an image that came to my mind. It's beautiful. Julian has another question.
Yes, like I'm actually from Cali, and that was the no-no neighborhood for me to go because it is like up in the mountains, so you know it's very dangerous. And people always are saying like, please make sure you don't go there because you're going to be raped, you're going to be killed, robbed, anything. So fear, like I know you went there with Guillermina, and she's from Argentina. She has curly hair, she's quite white and green eyes, and you're getting there. And you know, in Colombia, Argentinians are usually in Latin America in general. They have a very very specific way to describe Argentinians. They say they're obnoxious and they're different, and they don't believe they are part of Latin America. That's like the cliche, right? So when you went there, how did you manage fear? Did you have any fear? You and her, like, how did you manage fear, and how do you actually make sure like fear help you to get somewhere?
Yeah, I don't know about Guillermina, but I mean, one of the reasons I'm going to answer about Guillermina, you know, Guillermina is very little, very, very strong personality, and she swears a lot, and they loved it. You know, and she would fight with them. She would get really, you know, and they would, and they would just, and they would laugh her, right? And she really connected with them in that way, and also her accent. You know, we like Argentinian accent in Colombia. You know that. You know, it's to us it sounds really beautiful. So it was perfect. In terms of the fear, no, I don't have fear. I never have fear in situations like that. Really, I had fear before. You know, like let's say I can have a fear to go in a plane and think that I'm going to die, but it's before I go into the plane. But when I'm in the plane, I don't care really. It's nothing that you can do. So when you go in those neighborhoods, what I am aware is to be very strategic in how you relate with the neighborhood. So, for instance, I don't stay too long. You know, the workshops cannot last a month because you never know. You know, I mean, the longer that you stay there, the longer that they know your routines, and the more attractive that the equipment gets to them. You know, not to the ones that you're working with because they don't take anything, but the other people around. So it could become dangerous. In fact, a lot of the equipment that we use in the workshops, I will go there, come back to Canada, and I will leave cameras with them so they could use them, and I will go back next year and they will give them back to me. Right? So that's not the problem. The problem is just being there for too long and people figuring out your routines, and then eventually, I mean, they get killed there themselves, so why shouldn't I? You know what I mean? It can happen to me. So no, fear is not the case in there. If you have fear, then you cannot do anything. And we were in a situation, for instance, that we were shooting a scene outside, in the outside, thank you. I just moved too much, and my mouth, my head, my microphone moves. We were in a scene, shooting a scene outside, outdoors. I realized later that we were in a place that we shouldn't be, but they told us to go there. And I am behind the camera with the person that is doing camera, one of the participants, and two kids come, they just walk into and pull a gun and try to kill one of the actors. So my instinct was to turn the camera on immediately, but the camera was on and I turned it off instead. You know, which it was actually very good because it would have been very bad to have that material in there. You know, they may, if they know you have it, something can happen. Anyway, but that happened and I did not have fear. The gun didn't go on. So he just walked away like that and knocked the light that was beside me, and the guy who was going to get killed just went walking to him, right? That's the way that they are, right? And then the other one, they just left, and then suddenly the whole neighborhood mobilized, and phone calls, and they were going to kill the guy. They called all the gangs, you know, and I had to have a meeting with all of them and say, look, if you kill that guy, you're going to ruin the film. You know, we cannot shoot it anymore seriously. So let's move out and continue in another place. And it's not really serious. I told them that. And if you want to kill it, it's very stupid if you do it right now because they're going to know that it's you. So don't be stupid. Just have some time to think about it. You know, I mean, you have to talk to them in their language, right? I mean, it is not a matter of ethics to me. It's just the life. I didn't invent that life, and I cannot change them, right? So you got to go with try to respect in some ways their rules. You know, like the neighborhood has rules. You know, I shouldn't be telling you this because this is real violence, right? And we were in a meeting there, and they knew that some guy was trying to rob us in the neighborhood. They knew that there was a guy with a gun, and they were going to eventually at some point attack us. And they told me, blah blah. Then 2 weeks later, I went there, and the neighborhood had eliminated the guy because the guy has been stealing not only us but other people. So that's the way that they deal. They try to keep a balance, right? And I don't agree with it, but that's their life, and I cannot change it. So what happened to us is that when they see us with cameras, they all want to be actors. And in fact, they're all really good actors, you know, because those kids are visually, they have visual information. They see, they live of visuals. You know, they just need to have the tools. And they are amazing actors and filmmakers. You can get the best actors in there. And they're all beautiful looking, the guys and the girls. You know, the woman and the man, they're beautiful looking. The young, you know, incredible mixture of people. So they know how to act their own lives. And their lives is very rich and complex. So.
Any other questions on the floor? I have a question for Sojin. If you want to talk a little bit about the giant origami, what were you reflecting at that time? Did you manage to remember that? Remember? What were you thinking about that time when you made that film?
Yeah, I do remember now. It's all coming back to me. So at the time I was living out in Scarborough, and there's a lot of, I mean, even though it's nowhere near dangerous as some of the dangerous places in the world, there is a stigma in the city about what it means, what Scarborough represents and how dangerous it is, and people would be turned off a lot of times when I said that I lived there. So I did this original project about Scarborough where I put an ad in the newspaper, and random people call me, and then they would invite me into their homes and I would photograph them. So it was kind of an extension of that project, or some of the ideas that I had from that project from 2008 probably. And so what I wanted to do is, everything is so centralized in the downtown core that I wanted to bring some of the downtown into that area and to make it more exciting, or just to activate it as a place that can be activated with art. And so I lived on top of a bar called the Doghouse on Kingston Road, and it was really it was safe because there would be drunk people at my doorstep at all hours, so it was quite safe to go home at any time. But so I just had this idea that I would put these boxes and create sort of these abstract buildings that would represent some of the buildings that we see in Toronto and in the downtown area. And my friend Alexandra, who's in the audience, helped me shoot the piece. And I recreated this little cube in my living room. So I was, inside the cube making cubes, and then I was outside of the cube putting the cubes around the cube. So so that's more or less what I was thinking at the time. Thank you. Yeah.
So there was an installation that you did at the same time that I saw this the first time, and you were using the cubes as screens in the gallery?
Oh yeah. So it was the same piece that played, but they were projected onto the cubes, because I created there were I think 9 of them, and I just projected onto them. So I was just kind of reverting back to the cube, the many layers of the cubes. But Oh, you saw that? I didn't know you saw that. Awesome.
He said, "Oh,
You see everything.
Pregunta Preguntas, comentarios. No.
Sure. Yeah, I just want to mention something that is very ironic and interesting in working in Colombia and working in here, is that the youth in here, the Latin youth in here, who don't commit crimes, they are in jail all the time. And the youth in Colombia who do commit, violent acts, they don't go to jail because of the impunity. So.